Hello. It was great to have you in class yesterday, and this is my next day follow-up. And it's important that you know this. So given the class yesterday and the information I gained from all you students, I wanted to make sure I put this on the board and in a video so that you know what I'm expecting to see when you are answering questions. The right answers, and this is on video, and it's in the textbook, and it's here. What's up here is a little bit different from the textbook. I'm actually going to accept the answers that I'm giving you here too. So for chapters 1 and 2, if you're sitting at home, you can pause this video, get a notebook, take notes, put this in your notes, or screenshot. You can't really read my writing, but I'm going to walk you through it. So 2 things from chapter 1. I want you to make sure you know the major steps in the entrepreneurial process. So, and then for chapter 2, I'm going to make sure you know about corporate entrepreneurship. So our discussion thread talks about what it's like to be an entrepreneur as an individual versus working at a company. And then it also touched on what corporate entrepreneurship is. And we talked about it in class, but for the people who weren't in class or weren't in class for the whole time, I want to get this information to you right now. So here it says, know this. So major steps in the entrepreneurial process. There is a 30-minute video that I posted last week. I'm expecting that you watch that before Sunday so that you can kind of get more background information on what First Principles Solution Finder is. I lay it out like you've never seen before because it's I gave you the custom solution of an experience that I had. So step 1 in major steps on entrepreneurial process. First, as an entrepreneur in this process, you're like a first principle solution finder. And you can look on the internet for what the physics meaning is about that, because it's a term from physics, but I'm using it in social sciences as well. And I gave the example of how I used it to custom build based on just the facts and removing any sociological or any current laws even, because sometimes laws change, and you can even walk into a city hall and ask for zoning to change. So you can't be like, oh, well, it's not zoned for commercial, so I got to quit. No, you walk into City Hall and you're like, how can we get it zoned for commercial? And if we can't, what can we do next? No, next. We talked about it in class. So 1, think structurally or be a first principle solution finder. So 1, I'll accept these 2 answers, first principle solution finder or think structurally. 2, engage in bricolage. Now, these words are I know some of us are English as a second language. I'm going to explain. Bricolage is making your own recipe, using your resources. I'm also going to give you a quick English grammar lesson right now. And I kind of mentioned it in the 30-minute video. The difference between the word use and utilize. Whenever you use something, you use it based on its intended purpose. So if you're using a hammer to nail something on the wall, you're using the hammer. But if you take the hammer to do something that the hammer is not meant to do, that's kind of, I'm drawing a blank, but let me see if I can give you a better example. I utilized, if you watch the 30-minute video, I utilized my knowledge in real estate to customize a way to fund the property that I talked about in that video, in the 30-minute video. It was like I wasn't using it for like it's flat direct. Okay, so say I have a desk that I do homework on, and it's a school desk. If I utilize it to, now I'm utilizing this desk. This is a perfect example. Just got it. Right now, we use the desks here in front of us in class. We use them as desks. I am utilizing it as a camera stand. So the desk is not meant to be a camera stand, but I'm utilizing it. So you understand the difference between utilize and use. And even people whose English language is the first language, they don't even know this. A lot of them don't. So, and bricolage is making your own recipe. It's, not following a recipe because you're making your business, you're creating your thing you want to create. So you have to make it yourself. It's kind of like opening the fridge, seeing what kind of ingredients you have, what you have, and just putting something together so you could eat and make your own recipe. That's number 2. Effectuate. Number 3, select among possible outcomes based on what you know, who you know, what you have. You select possible outcomes. And then I showed you guys a slide about the goal pool and the reality. Like sometimes you have this goal, so you just put it in there as your goal, and sometimes it's not a reality or a possible outcome yet, but it's okay to have it percolating in there. So when you effectuate, you select among your possible outcomes based on the current reality. And I didn't link it in the class, but it's Wait But Why, if you want to read the article. I got it from a Wait But Why. And if you look up Musk secret sauce, it should pop up. It's a really long article. I don't expect you to read it, but I'm just citing where I got that chart from. And then number 4, cognitively adapt. I'm going to accept an answer as saying, a major step in the entrepreneurial process to cognitively adapt, or practice EQ. And we did that in class. And for those of you who weren't in class, you can look at the notes from class. I uploaded a PDF about just some of the questions we answered and some of the activities we did in class. So cognitively adapt, practice EQ, and then I want you guys to just go ahead, look online for a free EQ test, emotional intelligence, and just any free one, just take it and see where you're at, just for your own. You don't hand it in to me. So cognitively adapting, practicing emotional intelligence. Okay. Know this. So then corporate entrepreneurship, new business. So a person can be an entrepreneur and a whole corporation could be an entrepreneur. And we had a back and forth in class about how some businesses are just good businesses the way they are. They don't need to change or whatever. But as times change, almost all businesses need to change. It's just, change is inevitable. So a corporate entrepreneurship is an organization or business that is open to making new business, like new products or services, developing new products or services. In class, I talked about a business that said no to making a mobile app until it came time to where they had to make the mobile app, because that's just the way the world is. Now you need an app for this business, for this in this industry. Innovation or diversification. So coming up with new things. I think I talked about like a new game, a new product, something that's cutting edge. Diversification, just you're making, just like you're making a PC game, now you're making a mobile game. Maybe you'll make a Xbox game. Diversification. That I'll just stick to my personal experience and how I saw the corporate entrepreneurship. Self-renewal, rebranding. So this is like you just evaluate how you are as an organization. And at this one organization, self-renewal, rebranding had to happen because as the organization grew, different parts of it had different names and it wasn't clear. And it was like maybe 8 years after discussing, or it was more than 10. It was a long time. People were confused. People were confused that the knowledge base, it was like, say you want to go to Microsoft customer service, but Microsoft customer service is named Wikipedia or just something not it doesn't say Microsoft in the name or anything. So in this organization, we had something called battle.net was the URL battle.net, and on battle.net is where we house the knowledge base where like 50 million people would go to look and figure out how to resolve problems with the game, read about the game, how to help themselves in customer service. And it was called battle.net, but the company's name was Blizzard Entertainment. So it only happened recently that battle.net changed to Blizzard Entertainment. And you'd expect a multi-billion-dollar corporation to kind of be on top of that, but really, everybody's a mess sometimes. And then 4, proactiveness. I would say improving service, being proactive to improve service, decrease costs. The number one way to decrease costs is to decrease headcount, not have as many people work for you. And that's unfortunate, but organizations do their best to have what are called efficiency gains so that more work is done with less people. And isn't that the case with all our lives? Don't we want to get the most we can done with the least amount of effort? I get it. So know these. And I also said that I was going to bring in this book. It is this one right here. And I told you guys, warm up to books. So I read this much up to here. I'll hand it to the next person. I stopped reading it because it's written and I get it and I know it. It's like I just read the first. I was like, I know this. I get it. And then there's further research that I did after reading this as to why some of the people from some of these cultures were wealthy millionaires in America at these times that these guys are talking about. There was other factors outside of just these guys studying people with money in America. It had to do with other governments in other countries at the time. So, but this is a great book, and I'm going to pass it around class. And I think that's all I had to do to follow up with you guys. So, watch the 30-minute video before Sunday, and then I'm hopefully going to have another 30-minute one up before we start class for next week that you'll be expected to watch by the following Sunday, and then your posts are due by Wednesday. I'm not going to let that slide because your post for the discussion thread has to be done for Wednesday night, and you're responding to people before Sunday. And then I'll have, because I'm going to have this other stuff for you after. So I want you guys to have that done so that we can move on to the meat and potatoes, more meat and potatoes here. Sorry for any vegans or vegetarians in class, but email me if you have questions.